Welcome to Discourse number 2, You Create Your Reality, the Manifestation of Thought. This is session number 9. The principles of truth are 7. From your understandings obtained in the previous discourse, the ego personality, it will now be apparent that the ego body-mind consciousness is created to be unknowing and unconscious or mindless, to keep you out of your mind and focus only on the needs and desires of the body. This new knowledge provides a potent indicator as to the truth of one of the greatest secrets of reality. Your thoughts create. In the earlier discourse on the ego personality, the statement, "The secret of salvation is but this, that you are doing this unto yourself," was quoted from A Course in Miracles. This discourse will therefore be focused upon the answer to how this is done. All spiritual work is embedded with the same theme. The discussion and teachings are always to do with the mind. The experience of life and creation are mind phenomenons. Hence the words light, ideas, and thoughts are synonymous. The ego body-mind consciousness was described in the earlier discourse as a particular way of thinking, receiving the opposite thought stream as to that of Christ consciousness. This is why the mind must be psychologically changed in order to experience a new personal reality, because the ego miscreates through ignorance and its conditioned program that is chemically based. The original meaning of the word psychology up until the 1700s was the study of the soul, originating from the Greek word psyche, meaning breath, spirit, soul. It was not until after this period that the word became more commonly associated to mean study of the mind. The spiritual journey of return therefore has a requirement of psychological transformation as a necessity to the experience of enlightenment, at-one-ment, or salvation. You are created anew with the renewing of your mind. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. The teachings of Jesus were based around the modelling or demonstration of how a human entity with a Christ consciousness mind acts and speaks in contrast to the ego-dominated entity. Hence, A Course in Miracles text, which is the advanced teaching of non-duality, is the channeled teachings of Jesus. Another one of the great teachings that are relied upon as a guide for the spiritual pilgrim on the journey of return is the wisdom contained within the Hermetic philosophies, or Hermeticism, as declared and scribed by Hermes Trismegistus. Hermes was also known as Thoth in the early Egyptian mythology and Mercury to the Romans. Trismegistus means thrice great one, pertaining to 3. The renowned spiritual mystic and author Manly P. Hall, in his classic The Secret Teachings of All Ages, published in 1928, writes of Hermes. Hermes Trismegistus, master of all arts and sciences, perfect in all crafts, ruler of the 3 worlds, scribe of the gods, and keeper of the books of life. Thoth Hermes Trismegistus, the 3 times greatest, the first intelligencer, was regarded by the ancient Egyptians as the embodiment of the universal mind. While in all probability there actually existed a great sage and educator by the name of Hermes, it is impossible to extricate the historical man from the mass of legendary accounts which attempt to identify him with the cosmic principle of thought. The teaching of Hermes are the underlying philosophy upon which the majority of European spiritual texts are based upon, including the Nag Hammadi library in 4th century Egypt AD, from which Gnosticism arose. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth, proclaimed to be also the writings of Hermes, also emerged from this era to reveal the principles of creation to initiates and alchemists of the secret mystery schools. Hence, the teachings of Hermes are to be given the highest credence. In the book The Kabbalion, a study of Hermetic philosophy of ancient Egypt and Greece, written under the pseudonym of the Three Initiates and published in 1908, details the 7 principles of natural law as declared by Hermes that underpin the creative power of infinite intelligence, or all that is. Knowledge of these laws are considered to be essential in understanding the governing causes that are inherent in creation. When held in contrast to the modern era's study of the nature of reality as examined in the science of quantum physics, then you will see there is no contradiction, but only affirmation as to the principles declared by Hermes. Truth is eternal and immutable. It stands the test of time. The principles of truth are 7. He who knows these understandingly possesses the magic key, before whose touch all the doors of the temple fly open. The 7 principles of natural law are: 1. The principle of mentalism. 2. The principle of correspondence. 3. The principle of vibration. 4. The principle of polarity. 5. The principle of rhythm. 6. The principle of cause and effect. 7. The principle of gender. It is highly recommended that you read the full version of the Kabbalion to expand your understanding further, as it is essential knowledge. For now, a summary only will be imparted. The principle of mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental. This truth embodies the principle that the underlying foundation to all life that is known as primal reality is spirit, which is in itself unknowable and undefinable. However, it can be conceptualized as a universal, infinite, living mind. Life is a mental phenomenon that is a creation, manifestation, or expression of infinite intelligence, or all that is. All is mind. When this concept is fully grasped, you will then understand that energy, manifesting as matter, is subordinate to the mind. Mind creates the physical experience of solid matter, and hence, when directed with focus, can change your personal experience of reality. The principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. This principle must be understood within a broader context of truth that the universe is multidimensional. The personal, physical reality that you experience in time and space as your life is a limited dimension of 3D expression, which is a shadow of higher dimensional realities outside of this construct. The higher multidimensional realms that are not perceivable to your senses provide the pattern of creation that is expressed in the lower realm of 3D physical reality. This is the meaning underlying the biblical text that states, God created humankind in his image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. This is the role of the archetype that holds the pattern of physical expression in the non-local field, as above, as a blueprint, but is manifested in the lower material realm of expression as a human entity, so below. There is the law of similarity that is demonstrated within all realms of being. This is correspondence. Principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Your experience of 3D physical reality is an expression of a particular rate of vibration that is frequency specific. Other dimensional realms are also expressions of vibrational realities, but are not perceivable to your senses because of their rate of vibration. All of your senses are vibrational translators, interpreting energetic information into visual, auditory, olfactory, taste, and tactile sensations. This is how you determine what is real, a dependency on vibrational sensory stimulation and feedback. What is not able to be translated vibrationally by your senses is considered unreal. Other realms of being exist, but remain invisible to you and hence are not physically experienced. Everything in the universe exists as a vibrational reality and does not need to be clothed in form or embodied in a physical manifestation of a body. Mind is formless, but can express vibrations that can manifest in physical form. Thoughts, emotions, reason, will, and desire, or any mental condition and states of being, are expressions of vibrations and hence have frequency. The principle of polarity. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. The definitions of polarity, duality, vibrations, frequency, binary, and cycles are all interdependent. They are expressions of the same underlying principle. Opposites emerge from these concepts of creation. Unity is only capable of expressing an experience of disunity because of the polarization of energy as electromagnetism. Hence, the universe is a paradox of creation where opposites are interdependent and really the same, differing only in degrees of expression. Without one, the other could not be experienced. Good and evil, right and wrong, light and dark, love and hate, for example, are continuums of expression of relativity, not absolute within themselves. The all is one, and the one is all, is the paradox, and paradoxes are able to be reconciled as equilibrium and harmony. Opposites can be integrated. Polarities can be neutralized. The principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. The first law of thermodynamics is the conservation of energy, which runs parallel to this understanding. This law states that energy cannot be created or destroyed in an isolated system. For the universe to appear as a binary code, computational process of the ego-body-mind construct, there must be a boundary or rule set which applies to the 3D plane of physical experience. Binary computations cannot operate without them. This is one of those fundamental rules along with the speed of light and the Planck scale, which will be discussed later. Energy in motion as vibration and frequency is contained within an isolated system that cannot escape the system or add to it. It is a set amount. Hence, energy cycles, always in search of balance, as that is its vibrational nature. Just as the pendulum swing is used in describing this principle, a swing to the left must be compensated in equal measure by a corresponding swing to the right. Every action must have a reaction. This truth is obvious in the broadest concepts of human history and also in individual cycles of the emotional states that the human entity experiences. Rhythm and cycles predominate in search of balance. The principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. All that is the law itself from which all laws emerge, but is not subject to law itself. This is the primary cause behind everything. The universal dream is manifested through laws that the human entity is ignorant of, and hence becomes subject to its effects. Those effects are often experienced as suffering. Chance is only a form of ignorance where the causes are not perceivable. The human entity is equally unaware of the mental laws that govern manifestation on the physical plane of demonstration, never suspecting that their thoughts and emotional states of being create the circumstances of their personal reality. No event is created in isolation without an effect being expressed in the multidimensional universe. The higher one rises in consciousness and vibration, the closer one comes to being the cause. When dwelling and thinking only from the ego level of consciousness, allowing the conditioned, programmed mind of habits and reactions to run without awareness, then the human entity remains at effect. Mental discipline is required in the journey of spiritual transformation. The principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. The expression of gender with male and female aspects exists in everything, as creation and manifestation are driven through the principles operating within electromagnetism. Gender is the polarization of energy that appears as positive or masculine, and the female expression, which is the negative polarity. The field of force that surrounds the poles exert a pull to unite and bond with the opposite polarity to satisfy its craving and end its detachment. On the physical plane of human experience, which creates genders in physical form, this force is felt as sexual attraction, and the sexual act is the unification of energetic opposites. Every human entity also contains within itself both masculine and female energies, which seek to balance. The generative principle of the universe, with the capacity to create new forms of expression, arise from this principle. From the subatomic realm of atoms to the macroscopic realm of stars and galaxies, this seeking to bond and unite with the opposite polarity and gender is the foundation of creation. As above, so below. These 7 principles of natural law are revealed to be the governing agent that brings forth creation into an experience where there is a creator and the created. The oneness and the absolute of all that is can now experience and witness multiplicity in a variety of unique perspectives in the act of becoming. In the Divine Pomander, the sacred script of Hermetic teachings also declares, the mind being God, male and female, life and light, brought forth by his word another mind, the workman, which being God of the fire and the spirit, fashioned and formed 7 other governors, which in their circles contain the sensible world, whose government or disposition is called fate or destiny. In this statement, the terms life, light, and word can be considered synonymous. They are expressions of the highest vibrations. Hence, truth, love, primal reality, and Christ consciousness are expressions that vibrate at such a rapid rate that they are not perceivable to a human entity dwelling in the lowest vibration where fear is present. The term workman means the ego body-mind consciousness, which is the other mind. This is the one that creates the sensible world, or the materialist physical realm that is subjugated to the senses. Spirit, in modern day language, can be considered electricity, which is considered the fire element or the masculine. Water was the element of the female, being magnetism. The book of Genesis uses this symbology to explain the beginning of creation. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. This origin of beginning is given the term Genesis, which is defined in etymology as origin, creation, generation, from gignasphi, to be born. Hence, the Spirit of God, which is the electrical fire masculine father principle, moves upon the face of the waters, which is the female magnetic mother principle. This is the generative principle that creates or gives birth to life and light, the electromagnetic principles of creation. Later in this discourse, the construct of the personal reality in the sensory world, or the 3D reality, is given the term matrix, which is defined as uterus, womb, mold in which something is cast or shaped. The matrix becomes the screen of your personal reality, which projects the mental images that are experienced as real to the human entity. The 7 principles of natural law all relate to the phenomenon of electromagnetism, which is the generative principle. Every act of creation is compelled and governed by that force of attraction and repulsion expressed within electromagnetism. This is the hidden force of life that has been referred to in the previous discourse. When the human entity is veiled in ignorance of this hidden force, then it is under governance and will be compelled by causes unknown to its conscious aware mind. This compulsion or servitude to an unknown cause is what Hermes refers to in the Divine Commander as destiny or fate. In the Etymology Dictionary, fate is defined as power that rules destinies, agency which predetermines events, supernatural predetermination, that which must be. Also, destiny is defined as fate, overruling necessity, the irresistible tendency of certain events to come about, inexorable force that shapes and controls lives and events. Also, that which is predetermined and sure to come true. The ego body mind consciousness that rules the human entity, which is ignorant of the forces of creation, is therefore at an effect and subject to fate and destiny. The script of the ego's program, which is conditioned and operating from habitual and automated behaviors, will run its full measure. It is a governed and directed entity with no free will and hence can only experience an impending fate or destiny. It is only the attunement with the Christ consciousness mind, which is at one-ment and salvation, that a human entity can be released from this recycling of ignorance. Knowledge must be restored to be free of the bondage of illusion. Again, Manly P. Hall in The Lost Keys of Freemasonry reflects on this substantial truth. All doctrines which seek to unfold and preserve that invisible spark in man, which he has named spirit, are said to be spiritual. Those which ignore this invisible element and concentrate entirely upon the visible are said to be material. There is in religion a wonderful place of balance, where the materialist and spiritualist meet on the plane of logic and reason. Science and theology are two ends of a single truth, but the world will never receive the full benefit of their investigations until they have made peace with each other and labour hand in hand for the accomplishment of the great work. the liberation of spirit and intelligence from the three-dimensional graves of ignorance, superstition, and fear. In the beginning. In the principle of natural law declared as cause and effect, it was stated, all that is the law itself from which all laws emerge, but is not subject to law itself. This is the primary cause behind everything. When aligned with the opening words of the book of Genesis, in the beginning God created the heaven and earth, then you now have a firm foundation to understand the first cause from which all effects arise. All that is first cause. In spiritual texts, all that is, God, the absolute oneness, is symbolically represented as a circle. The circle is symbolic of that, which is absolute oneness, of which nothing more can be said. It simply is. This oneness pervades all, is formless and dimensionless, and hence has no external existence. Yet it is the beginning of all forms and dimensions, the potential to be what may. No thing materially, all things potentially. The term omniscient, or knowledge, and omnipresent, ever present, are terms that express this understanding. Heaven, referred to in the book of Genesis, can then be known as all knowledge, which is ever present. The next symbol that can be added is that of the dot. This is the spirit, the positive principle as the Father, the first monad or breath of the divine as first cause, the self of pure being and awareness. In the spiritual text, it is the I am of infinite intelligence. This is pure being known as Christ consciousness that has been frequently referred to. Enlightenment can now be understood as the obtainment of the state of knowingness as to your true being. Light is knowledge. Ignorance is darkness. When fear is given knowledge, it can be referred to as enlightenment, the light of understanding. Man is illuminated by knowledge. Mystic Manly P. Hall clarifies the symbolism of the point or dot as first cause. The dot is the first departure from things as they eternally are. It is the first illusion of the self, the first limitation of space, even as spirit is the first limitation of self. The dot or sacred island is the beginning of existence, whether that of a universe or man. The dot is spirit, and its symbol is in the Chaldaic Hebrew is the yod. The dot symbolizes the cause, the line the means, and the circle the end. The line therefore is the symbol of the dot in growth or motion. God is the dot, the first island floating in and upon the permanent depths of unlimited existence. The circle consists of a line that has no beginning or end and provides the boundary or container from which creation can manifest. It is the firmament. Returning again to the book of Genesis, earth is symbolized by the circle, a division of earth from heaven, the first movement in the void of nothingness. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. From no thing came something. Then further, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. The division of earth from heaven is symbolic of the birth of electromagnetism, a vibrational, polarized, dualistic expression of all that is. This can also be visualized as the binary code that was referred to in the earlier discourse on the ego personality. Arthur C. Kuhn, the author of the Theosophical Seal, provides further elucidation on the symbolism of the circle and the point predominant in spiritual and mystical texts. The circle is the ring pass-me-not, which establishes the limits of manifestation, whether of a man or of a universe. Indeed, it is the symbol of that manifestation, even as the point is the symbol of that which has no manifestation. If the point, as we said, has no dimension, the circle contains all possible dimensions. The point ever retreats within itself, out of time and space. The circle, ever expanding into infinite time and space, embraces all things. The point symbolizes that which is the cause and potency of life. The circle symbolizes the primordial substance out of which all forms are created. This symbol of the circle encompassing a central point has been given the name circumpunct in ancient texts and was also the symbol of the sun and solar worship. It is one of the oldest symbols known to mankind and appeared frequently in Egyptian hieroglyphics as it represented the sun god Ra. The sun was the giver of life. Gold is also given the same symbol as it represented condensed sunlight, God made manifest. The elemental table of chemical symbols gives gold the letters AU, which translates as the sound of meaning I am. This is considered the highest frequency or harmonic of God, or all that is. In the philosophy of Hinduism, this symbol of the circumpunct is called the Bindu. The central point or dot of the circumpunct is the zero or naught of mathematics, the place of neutrality or nothing. This is union and equilibrium, where nothing moves and is pure beingness. All other numbers, whether positive or negative, reside in the circle as they are representative of the line, a measurement or movement. Geometry is hence considered the language of God made manifest. All geometric forms are dependent upon the symbolism contained within the point and the line. Mathematics reveals the existence of all that is, and geometry was considered the sacred language when knowledge of the universe could be understood. Again, Kuhn makes reference in the Theosophical Seal to the significance of geometry. It is said that God geometricizes. That must mean that in the creating of his universe, all forms of life, from rock crystals, plant structures, and animal prototypes, have been built upon, or evolved along, definite geometric patterns. Science has, of course, confirmed this idea in its discoveries of the geometric structure of the cell, the molecule, and the atom. These elemental geometric figures have sometimes been referred to as the playthings of the gods. We may rightly call them a divine alphabet, for it is their infinite variations and combinations which make up the pattern of creation and by which creation may be interpreted. The study of mathematics was also the domain of many of the most significant philosophers in human history, including Pythagoras, Plato, Leonardo da Vinci, and Descartes. In the modern era, it is the quantum physicists who use mathematical theories and calculations to study the invisible realms of existence that cannot be known otherwise. The universe is constructed from numbers and geometric forms that are revealed through mathematics. To understand numbers and mathematics was to speak the language of the gods. The revered mind of astronomer Galileo Galilei, who studied the heavens and the cosmos, understood this even in the earliest era of human history. Philosophy is written in this grand book, the universe, which stands continually open to our gaze. But the book cannot be understood unless one first learns to comprehend the language and read the characters in which it is written. It is written in the language of mathematics, and its characters are triangles, circles, and other geometrical figures, without which it is humanly impossible to understand a single word of it. Without these, one is wandering in a dark labyrinth. In etymology, the definition of geometry is measurement of earth or land. This is the origin of the Hebrew word gematria, that studied the correlation of words and their relationship to numbers. As mentioned earlier in the discourse, the ego personality, the Hebrews used gematria to translate the hidden meaning of ancient texts. The term numerology arose from this study where letters of the alphabet were assigned a numerical value. In the modern era, the letter A is assigned the number 1. When combined with the numeral 0 or naught, it becomes the letters AO and also the number 10. The letters AO have great significance as they can also be interpreted as alpha and omega. Alpha is the Latin word meaning beginning, and omega is the last letter of the Greek alphabet signifying the end. It is within the book of Revelation that this reference to the alpha and omega as a beginning and ending is found. I am alpha and omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Hence the letters AO are considered as the sacred name in Hebrew, the number 10 the sacred number, and the point and the circle the sacred symbol. In Roman numerology, the number 10 is symbolized as X, which in the earliest periods of human history have been used as a symbol of Christ. The number 10, or 1 and 0, are also symbolic of the expression of duality as the binary code. The circle becomes the boundary condition where information as patterns of vibrational energy can be processed or computated to display as life in the matrix. The 1 becomes the bit in computer language, a quantized packet of energy as information. The Russian mystic Madame Helena Blavatsky, author of The Secret Doctrine, which studied the Eastern spiritual philosophies and traditions, refers to the significance of the number 10 in esoteric teachings. It is from this number 10, or creative nature, the mother, that the whole universe proceeds. It is from the power of 10 that the first division takes place and your personal experience of reality is made manifest on the electromagnetic spectrum of vibrational continuum. This concludes session 9 in discourse number 2, You Create Your Reality, the Manifestation of Thought. I shall put a link in the box below for the next session being number 10, where we get to look at the electromagnetic spectrum. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for your attendance during this session. So be it.